Hey YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Yugioh Wilderness. Now for today's episode, we're in Big Cypress National Preserve, and we're going to be moving through the water and see what kind of Yugioh wildlife is out there in the swamp. So the Big Cypress Swamp is located in South Florida, and it has a whole plethora of different habitats which make excellent places to find all sorts of Yugioh wildlife. You look on the trees, you have all different kinds of plant type monsters growing on, some that are really kind of weird and freaky, and hopefully we'll see some down further on the trail. But you'll also see so many different kinds of other critters and Yugioh wildlife that are living down in the water. So we're gonna push on through this swamp and see what lies up ahead. You'll find a lot of predaplants growing on the trees out here. This predaplant cordyceps is quite common, and as you keep on moving around, you'll see it really likes to cling to the bark of the cypress tree, a little parasitic in a way. So we'll keep our eyes out for more of them, but let's go ahead and keep on winding our way through the swamp. I'm not surprised that we were able to find a Blackwing down here. No matter where you go in the world, you're always likely to find at least one card member of the Blackwing family. And it looks like we got ourselves an Auster the South Wind. Now, it wouldn't be shocking to see a lot more of these as it slowly start to arrive in the swamp. It's now starting to enter into the dry season down here in South Florida, and you have a lot of migratory birds starting to make their home here. The climate's a little more calmer, and it's a little cooler than it is in the wet season when you're getting up into the 90s and hundreds with extremely high humidity. So the climate down here in South Florida as we enter to the dry season is really tolerable and perfect for a lot of migrating species like this little guy right here. So we're gonna go ahead carefully put him back in the tree where we found him, and we're gonna move on down and see what else there is out there. There's never a shortage of cool plants growing out here in the swamp. If there's one thing that there's not a shortage of down here, it's insect type monsters. And it looks like we just caught ourselves a reversible beetle. Oof. These guys can get pretty sizable, and it's not uncommon to see a lot of these guys scurrying around, switching down, crawling on the undersides of branches and grabbing at any other types of insect type monsters that are out here. So I'm gonna put him back before he decides to take a chomp out of one of our fingers. Onwards we go. There's something big in the water. Venomboa. This is an invasive Yu-Gi-Oh card. Should not be here in the big Cypress swamp, but here it is, this big old chunky 5-star reptile type monster. These guys have taken over the swamp, and gotta be really careful. These are highly dangerous, and we got it. So instead of releasing this one, I'm actually gonna take this back to the lab and properly take care of it, but maybe try to see if we can't relocate it to a deck owner that wants to have it in his reptile collection, but we don't want these guys out here in the swamp. So let's carefully take him out of here and hopefully find some more native Yu-Gi wildlife. The king of the swamp, Firestorm Prominence. Now, this is the apex predator inside this Cypress swamp. Nothing else out here can get as big as this guy or challenge him for the title of the apex, the top of the food chain out here in the swamp. He will eat anything that he can get his jaws on. He is a top reptile type monster that can challenge anyone. And just look at the size of him. He's just taking it all in, relaxing. He doesn't have to fear a single soul out here. And we are going to give him a very, very respectful distance, because the last thing I want to do is challenge him for his territory. So we're going to carefully work our way around, try not to disturb him. And this is such a great sighting. Know the drill. I'm not letting you out of here without a little bit of real-life Yu-Gi-Oh! Wilderness knowledge. And we're going to start off with the amazing place that we're in, Big Cypress National Preserve. This place protects one of the most important resources on the planet, water. And by protecting this water here, you can have an abundance of different species of wildlife, American alligators, the endangered Florida panther, you have ghost orchids, and all these other amazing types of flora and fauna. But there are constant threats to these very dangerous and vulnerable species. The Burmese python. I alluded to it when we caught that Venomboa. The Burmese python plays a massive impact here because it acts as a very dangerous invasive species, eating out all the other foods that our native predators like the alligator and panthers would eat, or even eating native species entirely like raccoons and the like. They have become such a detriment to so many different species out here, and they're a huge problem that our biologists down here are trying to figure out how we can contain them. But it starts with everyone at home. You don't want to release your pets out into the wild, because you might have this huge problem that we're dealing with now in South Florida with the Burmese pythons. And also, you can keep in mind that we want to protect the water as well. That's why making sure that you're not throwing trash on the sides of the road, and that you're being conscious of what you're putting out into the environment, because this gigantic swamp, it can only filter out so much. So we want to help it in its filtering process by trying to limit the amount of input that we put into the swamp, so that we can get some sweet, 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 clear and clean water to drink. But that's going to do it for me for this episode, you guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm going to catch you in the next episode.